That Friday evening, I walked through the door, expecting a peaceful dinner and maybe a movie before heading to bed. What I found instead was Gloria in the bedroom, both closets open, stuffing clothes into two large suitcases. She didn't even look up. I asked without hesitation, "What's going on?" As she zipped one bag halfway, she responded, "I'm leaving tonight. Don't try to stop me." Her words were so direct, so composed. It was almost as if she had rehearsed them. "Leaving for where?" I asked. "I'll stay with a friend until I figure things out," she replied, her focus still on the suitcase. "Harvey, I need more from life than this," she added, sweeping her arm around the room. "What's wrong with this?" I asked, confused. "This house is routine. I can't keep living like this." Her voice was so mechanical, as though reading from a script she had already prepared. "Then let's talk about it," I suggested. "We can do counseling." She cut me off immediately. "No, I'm done." I stood there for a moment, letting the silence settle. She was waiting for me to beg, to plead for her to stay, but instead I simply said, "Okay." That made her stop. She froze mid-fold, finally looking at me for the first time. "Okay, that's all you're going to say?" she asked. "You've already made up your mind, Gloria. What am I supposed to fight for if you've already decided it's over?" Her lips tightened into a thin line. "Fine. Don't say I didn't give you a chance," she said before slamming the zippers shut, grabbing the bags and walking past me without saying another word. I watched her car pull out of the driveway. As soon as the tail lights vanished, I picked up my phone. "David, it's Harvey," I said when my lawyer picked up. Gloria just walked out. What do I need to do to protect myself? Minutes later, I had a list of things to do. Cancel her access to my credit cards, change the locks, and document everything she left behind. By midnight, her cards were canceled. And by the next morning, a locksmith was scheduled. If she thought I would sit around waiting for her to decide whether I was worth keeping, she was wrong. Truthfully, I wasn't blindsided. For the last 8 months, I had watched her turn into a stranger. When we first got married, she worked full-time at a marketing firm, came home laughing about office gossip, and enjoyed our quiet weekends together. Then, out of nowhere, she quit her job, saying she wanted less stress, and took a part-time gig at a boutique. The rest of her time was consumed by Instagram, TikTok, and endless chats with her single friends. At first, it was innocent remarks about how exciting their lives were. But soon, she started comparing nicer apartments, better vacations, more freedom. She started going out more. First for happy hours, then for girls' nights that lasted until sunrise. I'd wake up to an empty bed with a text that simply read, "Don't wait up." One night, I saw a name flash on her phone. Victor, I remembered him. An old coworker. She had been too close to. When I asked about it, she rolled her eyes and said, "It's just Victor. We're catching up. You're being paranoid." Paranoid because my wife is talking late at night with an old coworker. I asked, "You're controlling Harvey." "It's not attractive," she replied. And in the conversation after that, I paid more attention. The laugh she used to reserve for me was now showing up in her messages to others. Her phone was always face down. By the time I caught her packing, I knew exactly what it meant. She had been planning this for months, maybe even. "Those cards are my name. You were just an authorized user. I removed you," I explained. "You can't just cut me off for money," she yelled. "Actually, I can. You told me you were moving out. You told me not to stop you. I'm respecting that." There was a brief silence before her voice softened. "Harvey, I never said I wanted a divorce. I just needed space. Space doesn't involve packing suitcases and leaving. That's called moving out," I responded. This is ridiculous. I still have rights as your wife. She argued to what? You left on your own. I replied, and then she hung up. 10 minutes later, Sophie, one of her closest friends, called. Harvey, we need to talk about Gloria. Do we? I replied, she's hurt. She feels like you're punishing her. Sophie said, she told me she was done. I'm taking her at her word. She just needs time to think. You should meet with her and talk things through like you told her. See what else is out there. Sophie, I know you've been in her ear for months. You thought she was wasting her life being married. Well, now she's free. You got what you wanted. That's not fair. Sophie snapped. What's not fair is convincing my wife to leave. Then act in shock when I don't chase her, I retorted before hanging up. By noon, I realized Gloria had expected me to be desperate, scrambling to win her back. Instead, I was calm, methodical, and she clearly didn't know how to handle it. The following Wednesday night, I heard 3 knocks on the door, followed by heavy pounding. I peeked out the window and saw Gloria standing on the porch. Hair tied back, wearing the same jacket she had left in. Harvey, open up. We need to talk, she called. I stayed inside. She pulled out her purse and tried her old key. Twist, twist. It didn't work. She threw up her hands in frustration and knocked harder. That's when my neighbor John came over. Everything okay here? He asked, looking from her to me. John, tell him to open the door, Gloria quickly said. He locked me out of my own house. John scowled. Didn't you tell me on Saturday that you were finally free and starting a new chapter? Her cheeks reamed. I was just venting. That's not what I meant. That's exactly what you said, John responded. You even joked about finding someone more exciting. She gave me a look as if this was somehow my fault. That was taken out of context. I moved towards John, stepping outside. Thanks for checking, man. We're fine. She tried to block my path. Harvey, please. I made a mistake. Let's just talk. There's nothing to talk about. You told me not to stop you. You got what you wanted. Her voice trembled slightly. I didn't know it would be like this. Then maybe you should have thought about that before you left. John shifted uncomfortably. I'll leave you two to figure this out. I went back inside and locked the door. She stayed for another 5 minutes before she left. By the weekend, she had switched tactics and went to my family on Saturday morning. My mother called Harvey. I just got off the phone with Gloria. I sighed. What did she want? She said you locked her out, canceled her cards, and won't see her. Is that so? Yes, Mom. She moved out. That was her choice. My mom's voice stayed even. Then she has to live with it. I'm not getting in the middle of this. An hour later, my sister Elaine texted me. Gloria just called me crying. I told her to stop. I almost laughed. Gloria wasn't used to being shut down that quickly. That afternoon, there was a knock at the door. When I opened it, Gloria stood there with her older brother, Martin, who already seemed uncomfortable. Harvey, he began. We just want to talk. Gloria knows she overreacted. I leaned against the door frame. Overreacted? She packed up her stuff and told half the neighborhood she was happier without me. That's not overreacting. Martin, that's a decision. Gloria shuffled nervously. Victor wasn't what I thought. I realized now I made a mistake. I nodded slowly. So, you left thinking someone else would be better. And when that didn't work out, you came back. That's not fair, she replied quickly. What's not fair? I asked. You walked away without even trying to fix what we had. Then expect me to just pick up where we left off when it suits you. Martin raised his hands in peace. Look, I'm just here to help her talk. She's my sister. I understand and respect that, I said. But the answer is still no. Gloria's eyes hardened. So that's it. 3 years gone. No, Gloria, I said. You ended it the night you walked out. I'm just honoring your choice. Martin sighed and they both turned to leave. She didn't look back. A month passed without any contact from her and I assumed she had accepted that it was over. Then one Tuesday, my lawyer, David, called Gloria's attorney had reached out with a proposal, marriage counseling, instead of going forward with the divorce. David explained that the idea came from her parents who wanted her to either reconcile with me or stand on her own 2 feet. From what David told me, it was clear this wasn't about love or regret. She had been bouncing from friends' couches to her parents' house, working odd shifts at the boutique and struggling to keep up the lifestyle she once had. The house was never part of the discussions. It had been mine before the marriage, and the deed was solely in my name. She left with only what she could fit into her suitcases. Everything else stayed as it was. It was obvious she was trying to grab the safety net. She had voluntarily let go of a home she no longer had a right to. David advised me to stand firm unless I had a strong reason to change my mind. I didn't. There was nothing left to reconsider. Later that week, I received a single text from her. We could fix this if you just talk to me. I didn't respond. David filed the final paperwork. I didn't feel happy or vengeful, just certain. When you've been with someone for years, it's easy to focus on the good times and wonder if you'd go back and get them. But I couldn't unhear her telling me she was done. I couldn't unsee the look in her eyes when she told me not to stop her. That wasn't just a slip in the heat of the moment. It was a deliberate choice, and choices have consequences. 3 months later, the divorce was final. No dramatic courtroom scene, no last-minute pleas, just signatures, a stamp, and it was done. Elaine later told me that Gloria had moved back in with her parents in a small town 2 hours away. She had quit the boutique because she couldn't afford the gas to get there and had taken a full-time job at a call center. After the papers were signed, she sent me one last text. I hope one day you understand. I didn't mean to hurt you. I didn't reply. There was nothing left to say. The house felt different now, quieter, steadier. I no longer came home wondering if I'd walk into another argument or hear about another late night out. A month later, I met Rachel, a 32-year-old nurse who owned her condo and paid her own bills. We started with coffee, then dinner, and I realized how refreshing it was to be with someone who didn't treat a relationship like a game of leverage. When I briefly mentioned Gloria, Rachel shook her head. Sounds like she wanted you as a backup plan while she explored other options. That's exactly what it was, I replied. I thought back to the night Gloria left, standing over open suitcases, delivering her exit line like it was rehearsed. She expected me to panic and promise anything to keep her. But I had already spent months fighting for the marriage by being loyal and steady. She gave up in a single evening. Best lesson I ever learned. When someone says they're leaving, believe them. Don't chase. Don't beg. Let them go. Because if they truly value what they had, they wouldn't be walking away in the first place.